Welcome to today's webcast series presentation, 5 Simple Steps to Modernize Your Firm, Moving Your Project Management, Billing, and Accounting to Mobile and Cloud. My name is Beth Brooks. I'm the Director of Sales for Civil and Structural Engineer Media. Thank you for joining this webcast, which is sponsored by BQE. Before we begin today's presentation, first some general information about the webcast and the GoToWebcast platform. The views of the speakers and organizations participating in this webcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Civil and Structural Engineer Media or its publisher, Zweig Group. If you have any technical difficulties while viewing this webcast, please submit questions or a brief explanation of your technical problem using the question tab on GoToWebinar control panel, and a representative will assist you. During the webcast, you can also submit questions to our speaker using the same question tab. Submit your questions at any time, and we will try to answer as many as we can later in the broadcast. Zweig Group encourages group learning for our events. If you are viewing the live webcast with a group on one registered person's computer, that person must complete and submit the multiple viewer registration form for the group in order for everyone to earn credit. Download the multiple viewer registration form from the Handouts tab on the control panel. Submission instructions are on the form. Viewers of archive webcasts must pass a quiz in order to download a certificate of completion. Throughout the webinar, you may submit questions to today's speaker using the question tab on the webcast control panel. We will try to answer all the questions after the presentation. Today's presenter is Shafat Qazi, CEO and founder. Shafat founded BQE in 1995 to simplify the lives of millions of service professionals. An engineer by trade, he was acutely aware of the pain professional service firms endure when it comes to billing, accounting, time tracking, and project management. He created the original Bill Quick in his garage. 2 decades later, as he oversees a global enterprise, Shafat has never forgotten his roots, and BQE remains at the vanguard of customer-driven innovation. Recently, Shafat was voted as top CEO, and BQE software that he founded was also selected as best places to work diversity by Comparably. He holds a master's in structural engineering from the University of New York and a bachelor's degree from the National Institute of Technology. When he's not working on a new invention, he enjoys flying planes and traveling. So far, he's visited 51 countries and plans to visit at least 50 more. And now I'm going to hand it over to Shafat.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Beth, for that wonderful introduction. Can you make me the presenter so I can share the screen?
Absolutely. You should have the authority now.
Okay, let me see if I can share it. No, it still did not give me. Oh, okay, there you go. Something's edit. Okay, cancel. Let me see. Make me the presenter. Make me the presenter. There you go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Bear with me a second while we're trying to reshare this. Okay, presenter is me, and for some reason sharing. So it does not give me an option to pick the application. Let me make Beth the presenter then myself again. Bear with me a second, please. Okay, let me change it back. There you go. Thank you, everyone. Okay, good. Good morning. Sorry for the technical glitch here. So here we are, 5 simple steps to modernizing your firm, and a subtopic of how to move your project management, billing, and accounting to mobile and cloud. Essentially, what I'm going to do today is I am going to actually talk a little bit more than about project management and billing, although that is one of the key applications that most businesses do use and common among many businesses. So today's agenda is, of course, a little bit background. I know you all heard about cloud technology and how great it is. Kind of hear it from my perspective, and then I want to describe what, based on our own research, and trust me, we talk to literally if not thousands, hundreds of engineering firms throughout the year. And we learn from what they have in terms of technology. And I want to share that, what we find out that most of the businesses are using today, and then what we recommend moving to the cloud, and what we recommend not moving to the cloud. So what moves and what stays. And I'm going to give you a brief preview. I don't want to really make this presentation about BQE Core, which is one of our flagship products, but I want to give you a little bit of preview just to show you or demonstrate some of the advantages of having a cloud-based application, and more importantly, what a cloud-based application should look like, and why you got to be aware of when people say, yes, this is a cloud-based application, when it really is not. Of course, towards the end, we will give you those recipe of 5 simple steps that you need to take towards modernizing your firm. And I will also define what that modern firm really is. So it's a definition that BQE has created as to what we see as a modern engineering firm or an architectural firm or any professional service firm. And then as we wrap up, I will be also making some recommendation as to various cloud-based products that you should consider owning or switching to immediately, so that you could really become the modern firm that I want all of us to be taking steps towards. There will be a poll question. It is part of the requirement. So there's altogether 4 questions that will be towards the end. It is very important that you stay and participate in those poll questions. Now, one thing I do want to mention, which is off the script here, is Beth mentioned how BQ has been awarded last year in diversity, but today, just literally a few minutes before this presentation, I received a notification that today BQE Software, the company that I'm the CEO of, was listed among the best workplaces 2019 by Inc. magazine. So I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you that helped make BQE, get to that list, uh, whether it's our employees or our customers. So best workplace of 2019, truly an honor, and super excited about it. So let's talk about, first of all, the infrastructure on the cloud. So basically, think about your server room where you have the servers. Instead of having the servers on your server room, you could be using the servers of Amazon, commonly referred to as Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure, or Rackspace, or Google has also started adding and becoming a critical player in there as Google Cloud. And then, of course, IBM has its own cloud-based data center that you can also use as an infrastructure. Now, here, when I say infrastructure, I'm primarily talking about hardware. I'm not talking about software. So you could rent hardware on the cloud. And of course, one of the advantages of renting the hardware on the cloud is that you could rent it by an hour, by minutes. So you only pay for when you need it. So just to get you that list of top 5 cloud infrastructure providers. Now, there are 3 types of clouds that I have classified them into. The first one is the hosted applications, or what I refer to as infrastructure as a cloud. So these are not really cloud applications. So think about it this way. Let's say you have a desktop edition of your AutoCAD, and you want to take that desktop edition of an AutoCAD, go to Amazon, rent a server, and install it there. And essentially what that does is now make that desktop edition of AutoCAD available to you from anywhere in the world, because it's now hosted by Amazon or on their server. But this is not a true cloud application. This is more what I call as lift and shift, which is really lifting your current desktop old product and putting it on the Amazon server, and which is a cloud infrastructure. The second one would be something that you have on premise, like a web application that you're using right now within your office, and you want to move that and make a little bit of adjustments to it to be hosted by any of the infrastructure providers. While this is a little different than the desktop application, but it's still the same old software, just making it more freely available. Now, the advantage of this, of course, is that if it's on Amazon, it's a little better secured than if you open up the ports on your own office and try to give people access to it from outside. You are opening up your entire office infrastructure to outsiders. So this way you can just keep that sealed and only move the applications. Last but not the least, which is the most important one, is the cloud native. These are the applications that have been natively written to work with the cloud infrastructure, to be hosted on what we call as in a, a multi-tenant situation. Their performance, their backups, their reliability, their security, everything's ground up designed to serve millions and millions of people concurrently. BQE's core product is an example. Basecamp, Google Docs, Salesforce was among the first software company that actually came out with a cloud-based CRM software. So next, I want to talk about basically, when we're talking about the cloud applications, I wanted to discuss as to why, people want to go to cloud. Why is it important? What are the factors that make you rethink about cloud? So, first of all, if we have dragged our feet up until 2019, we really, really need a serious check. As somebody said, that if you don't like the change, you're going to hate the irrelevance. My feeling is that the companies that don't move to the cloud now are going to become irrelevant, because the competitive advantage of getting on the cloud is so huge that will be very difficult to compete. First of all, look at the list right here on this slide. No installation, no maintenance, completely agnostic to the device and location, automatic backups, security on professional grade security, with all the things that are happening today with malware and ransomware. This in itself, the last bullet point in itself, should be a good reason for you to consider moving to the cloud. Now, it, it also encourages collaboration, of course, and if you have remote workers, you don't have to worry about that, because they can access it just like you can. All they need is a reliable internet connection, which now is considered to be omnipresent everywhere. Everyone has it. um, the thing I like about cloud also is that it's scalable. So you're not buying a product that cannot handle 50 employees. Even if you're only 10 today, you grow to 50, it's still the same product. Pricing, pay as you go, huge savings there. In desktop products world, we used to pay a lot of money up front, but now you only pay for per month or per quarter, and only for employees that are using it, not for everyone. And of course, you're with the latest and the greatest release of the product, security patches installed, everything's in there, and if there's a disaster, you're more likely to recover faster from when you're a cloud-based product as compared to hosting yourself or having something on premise. So this is truly amazing, the benefits. But if I have to summarize it in one line, I would say that it all boils down to doing less yourself, right? And focusing your energy and time on things that really matter, which is growing your business, doing engineering services, rather than worrying about, software updates and things like that. This is a typical business today. Um, I borrowed this from unknown source on the internet. This diagram, really several departments have their own computers and they are all connected through this switch. And there's a department-based server, sometimes a common server. There are multiple printers, one or multiple, sometimes department-based printers. And then there's some kind of a firewall which hasn't been patched for years. So it's basically not really a firewall, and that connects everybody to the internet. But anybody, any hacker can walk in through that firewall and really steal information from the company, and not to ignore the cost of this little guy here. It could be one or multiple servers, not just on the sense of the hardware, but also resources and time involved in making sure it's patched and the latest hardware is there, and everything else. So as compared to moving something into the cloud. But when we did the research, when we talked to the businesses, we find out that today most of the firms, and this could be your firm, and if you're nodding, I totally understand why, because you probably do have a mix of desktop and a hybrid apps and cloud apps. You might be using Dropbox or some of the storage in the cloud, but also using a desktop product. But most businesses have either zero or weak security. Some of the softwares are extremely old versions. I saw somebody using QuickBooks 2002, and I was like, wow, even Intuit does not support it or have it, so it could go in the archives or museum for that reason. Poor or no backups. I asked a customer, I said, where is your backup? He said, oh, it's here, I know where it is. And then when he looked, he was like, oh my god, it hasn't been backing up for months. And his folder was completely empty, and it was a disaster. No redundancy in hardware. Can you imagine having two servers, one as a redundant server waiting for the first one to fail? Unbelievable. That would add to cost, and the cost would become too high. But if you are being hosted on the cloud by professionals, that's what they do. They have two of everything, if not three, in most cases. So this is what we see as a typical um, engineering firm in US, Canada, or Australia, wherever we have customers, that this is really what their infrastructure looks like today, or business technology looks like today. Now, we know that we have to move to the cloud. Okay, many of you have already probably subscribed to Office 365 as an example, which is basically taking the desktop product and moving it to the cloud. And what Microsoft did is created a hybrid of it where it's some desktop, but the data is really on the cloud. So what we recommend is that you consider moving your email, your contacts, your to-dos, your documents, your spreadsheets, your PowerPoint presentations or keynote presentations, all of those to the cloud, including the software that goes with them. We also want you to consider moving your time tracking and your expense tracking software to the cloud. And I don't mean Excel, I mean actual software. If you don't have one, please do consider getting one. Your project management, your billing, your accounting, very, very critical that that be on the cloud, because imagine losing that data and not knowing who owes you how much. And considering the fact that I ran my engineering firm for 8 years, I know that every engineering firm does have account receivable, and a significant portion of it is usually equivalent to more than 1 month's of billing that's outstanding. So that's critical that that move to cloud. Human resources, payroll, client relationship manager, even your phone system. Uh, get rid of that analog copper line based phone system. Replace it with a voice over IP systems that use the SIP trunk protocols and are accessible through mobile apps and desktops, and essentially give you the office phone everywhere in the world, and a 3-digit extension dialing within the office staff. And of course the document storage, that's a given. Many of you are already probably using Box or Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive, so that is a given for the storage or of documents that you need to keep. Because again, please do understand that if any of you think that your data is better on your server, you are making a big mistake, because your data, it's not a matter of if your data will be hacked and probably held ransom. It's now a matter of when it will be done. And these are not humans that are doing it. These are bots that are attacking businesses, and literally uh, trying to get into hundreds of thousands of servers every day through code and scripts. So once you delay that patch a few days, you're open to that attack. What should not move to the cloud? I don't recommend moving any any business critical non-cloud based product. So let's say you have an older version of some accounting software, right? And it's so old, but it has data that's old, and they don't have a cloud-based version. So in that case, keep it in your office, don't delete it, for maybe going back to some of the older reports, for historic records, or any data that's 5 years. Let's say you have um, Word documents that are 10 years old, and you don't really care about them anymore, so you can keep those, or maybe very old videos that you have that are no longer relevant. So you can keep that and not necessarily move everything to the cloud. Especially when it comes to project data, I wouldn't move anything older than 5 years. That just clogs the storage that you have on the cloud. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to also mention is the big mistakes that businesses made a few years ago, which now we are backtracking on. Is that we were told that, hey, this is the world of where one application does everything, is not a good idea. We need to get an app for everything. We need to get an app for this, app for that. So I saw a customer, one of the customers that moved to BQE. They were using uh, QuickBooks Desktop for their accounting. They were using an app for expense tracking. They were using another app for time tracking. They were using another app for bill payment. Um, it was like 7 other apps in addition to QuickBooks, and the problem was, first of all, the cost per user was up around $300 per user per month, and also the digital plumbing that supposed to move the data between these apps and smoothly wasn't really working. So there wasn't one source of truth. There were multiple sources of truth, and that was causing a huge confusion in that company. People didn't know what was right, what was wrong anymore. So my recommendation is that you all consider for your critical core business functionality, you consider an app that serves the basic things. So, this is a great segue to me showing you a little bit of our product BQ Core, which does get rid of the chunkification philosophy and says, look, there are certain things that a business needs that all should be all in one place. So let me show you a little bit of core and explain to you what that does. So you can see um, time and expense tracking, project management, account receivable and billing, accounts payable, integration with various cloud-based portals like downloading your bank transactions, credit card transactions, integration with Dropbox or Google Drive, scheduling and workflow, business intelligence, human resource management. These are all in core today. I call this as the circle of core, and we are about to roll out CRM and payroll modules. So let's take a quick peek at this, and then we'll continue with the recommendations and the poll questions. Please do type in your questions as they come to your mind. Don't wait till end. It's a good idea to get them in place now, because we have Kari and Beth. They'll be going through those questions. They may answer them if they know the answer. At least they'll pull them out for me towards the end. All right, so let's take a quick look. So what you see here is the core application. This is after I logged in, a beautiful dashboard, and everything is on the left rail. As I was saying, you'll see everything in here, from your accounts payable to your accounts receivable, and time tracking, expense tracking, and project management. And of course, dashboard is what you will be welcome with. I have my own widgets, like I'm tracking my sources, my income, where the money is coming from. I'm also keeping an eye on my expenses. What am I spending money on? And then to the right, my income expense graph, as you can see. Now, I can, of course, filter this if I wanted to. I'm using last 12 months right now, but I could, change it to last quarter or whatever I want. Now, because it's a complete circle, I'm not just looking at my accounting, also looking at as my aged receivables as to where my money is stuck. And then right next to that, the projects that I'm managing, the ones that I'm project manager for, is money coming from those projects this year to date, how much money, and who's, where most of my money is coming. And last but not the least, my earned value, which shows me both the cost and the billable and the build value. So the bigger the gap between cost and the build, I know that means more profit. So that's just one thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we provide multiple dashboards, so you can have unlimited dashboards. So I have, this is my KPI dashboard. I also have my personal dashboard where I'm tracking my performance, in general. Now, having all the pieces, all the core elements of your business processes in one product like core, that also means that you get that extra business intelligence. I'll show you three examples of that always wow our customers, and hopefully you will understand why I am so passionate about making that switch for your business and every business to a product like BQE Core. So if I go to my employee list and I pull up one of my employees, and let's just go ahead and pick Scott Jackson from my list here. If I click on the performance tab at the top, you will see instantly it will show me how my employee Scott Jackson is performing. And this is where it's important for all the data pieces to be in one place, because it wouldn't have been possible if my timesheet was in a different software, my expenses were different software, my billing was in a different software. Because all of that is in one product, I'm able to quickly look at Scott Jackson and say, okay, his ideal pay rate is $73 an hour. His minimum bill rate is $135 an hour. Means like if we bill him less than 135, we're losing money. His effective bill rate for the last 12 months or ever since we hired him has been 163. So which is good. We're making more than his minimum bill rate. And then of course you'll see the effective cost rate right next to it. Great KPIs right at your fingertips, his utilization, his realization, margins, whatever you are interested in it comes instantly to you, and that's just one element of this application, which is your employee. So if you were going to do a performance review with that employee, that screen is what I would look at and print out before I do that performance review. Now let's look at the um, um, client KPIs. So as you can see, I have a client here called ArcLight Theater, and I go to the performance tab for that client, and again, now my business critical data for that client. And if I just wanted to see this year to date, I can easily change the date, get the KPIs updated for this year to date. We're making 62% profit this year to date with that employee, that client. So that's great. 35% of the contracts have been completed. Clients 92% paid, and my work in progress, write up, write downs, client hours, all of that, as you can see, at your fingertips, that I could invoice the client $70,000 today because that is my work in progress. So this is extremely important, and kind of emphasizes the point about cloud based, making your firm modern. it, Imagine having this, when you are traveling, and you need an update on a project or a client, and you need to see your margins so that you could bid on another project more effectively, not having to call someone and email the reports. By that time you lost the competitive advantage. So this is at your fingertips. And then if you are a project manager or you work on projects, you want to take a look at the project KPIs. And of course, let's just look at our project list. We support both, flat projects as well as the phased projects. So here, for example, ArcLight Theater is a project with multiple phases, from preliminary design phase, construction phase, all kinds of phases. So if I want to look at the top level, just a roll-up reporting, I can easily do that. I can go to the performance tab, and in there, I can see the performance of my project. Now you can clearly see work in progress, my billing related information, all the way down to my 38% profit on that project, and of course my earned value and everything else that I care for. So there's a $26,000 balance on this project, uh, you know, that that I need to make sure that client pays. So this is just another example. Now, again, the whole point I'm demoing this is not just to show you how wonderful this application is, but also that why it's important when you move to cloud that you at least bring the core functionalities of your business into one application so that you could get this type of reporting. Now, if I go to the transactions tab, I should be able to see all my invoices and payments from this client or to this client, and clicking on them would show me the invoice. I can see my billing schedule. I can see, we have a built-in document management, any documents related to the project. And then we also have a checklist or to-dos on the project. I can see what's remaining to be done, and then any project related notes. So kind of a critical functionality of project management, where people add notes from different areas of the application, and be able to check the status of the project. I have to say that that this product, I was personally involved in its development. It took us 5 years to build it. But what is important about this product is not the fact that it does all these wonderful things. What's important about it is the fact that it was built natively for the cloud. It is on secured servers. It's backed up every 5 minutes. It is, high performance. It is agnostic to the device and location. It works on mobile as well as tablets, as well as your desktop or laptop, Windows, Mac, Linux, doesn't really matter. And it truly empowers all of you to do what you are trained to do, which is engineering, and not be wasting time in trying to enter your timesheet. Okay, So we are at that moment now where I will be running a poll of 3 questions, and then there will be one more question, and then we will wrap up with Q&A. And I want to make sure I leave enough time, at least 10 minutes, hopefully, for Q&A, and I can answer all questions. I see some of the questions in the question panel already. So great. Please keep those questions coming. We will obviously go through them and answer them towards the end. So please participate in these poll questions. So question number 1, I'm about to launch it. There you go. It says, how does your firm manage projects today? So please tell us, whether you're using a single cloud-based software like Core, or a mix of several software, or you do not have a system, or spreadsheets. Which, please don't be embarrassed to say spreadsheets if you're using spreadsheets, because I know that continues to be a significant portion of the businesses still. So we need as many of you to participate as possible. I have only half of you so far that have voted. Please understand this is important if you are getting the continuing education units, that we show that you participated. So few more clicks, please. What does your firm use? How does your firm manage projects today? Okay, I will be closing this poll in 3, 2, 1, and closed. And I will share the results, of course, with all of you. As you can see, 44% of you are using mix of several software. This is exactly what I said in my slide, mix of many software. And then 33% are spreadsheet. Wow. And the rest of you basically don't have anything. And only 7% have a cloud-based software such as Core. So, congrats to that 7%. All right, so let's go ahead into poll question number 2. We have the biggest hurdle in replacing your outdated business software is, please tell us, what is keeping you from replacing your outdated software? Is it because you're too busy, or because you have not found an equivalent or better, because you think what you have is really uh, great and can't be replaced, or it costs too much? If it's too much money, and if you're already using the cutting edge product on the cloud, so last one would be yours. We do not use any outdated software. Yeah, that would be a company that has already taken that step. So a few more, please, participate in it, especially for our allowing us to share this data with future webinar attendees. Of course, we're keeping this data anonymous, so we won't know who said what. All right, I'm going to close this poll question in 3, 2, 1. So 33% believe that it costs too much. That's why we do not want to move to the cloud. And I'll address that very soon. The next group was, we have not found an equivalent or better product. And the third one was that we do not have any outdated. So we're too busy. Of course, we hear that also. So I'm sharing these results, by the way, with you. I should have clicked on the share button so you can see it for yourself. 33% says it costs too much, and 30% says we haven't found anything. So guess what? For the 30%, you did find BQE Core today. So we will get back to that element. The last question for this session of poll, and there's going to be one more after this, is which one of these tasks are you most likely to perform on your mobile device? Um, Track my time and expense, monitor and manage my projects, approve timesheets and client invoices, and run business and project reports. We want to know which one of these are you most likely to. In other words, you could be doing multiple of these, but the one that you're going to do most of these. So please um, help us out in this is an important question for us to learn as to how businesses like yours will use mobile apps. So I see approximately 60% have already clicked. We need a few more. Wonderful. We're going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. And there we go. And I'm going to share. 52% want to track their time and expense on mobile. Totally agree with you. Um, monitor and manage projects, the second biggest chunk. Totally agree. And this is what we are seeing to ourselves. So that is essentially the poll questions that we had at this point. We will be obviously having more poll questions very soon. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And so we can go ahead and switch back to my presentation. So thank you very much. One thing I wanted to address real quick was that there was a question where many of you said, look, it costs too much. Now, trust me, and I can guarantee this personally, that it does not cost more than what it's costing you, because a lot of people tend to ignore the fact that you have the overhead of security, hardware, and some IT guy with what you're doing today. All that goes away when you look at the cost of doing that versus this, and not to count the fact that you are at risk, and you might need to buy an insurance to really make it work for you. So when you look at all of these things, we see it over and over again. Customers come back to us and say that you're right. It costs us less. More importantly, our business productivity has gone up. So the ROI was all there. So number one, you get rid of your server room completely. This is my definition of a modern firm. A firm where technically there is no server room, there are no servers, um, and employees can bring their own devices, BYOD. You might have heard that. So BYOD meaning bring your own device. So if somebody wants to work on a tablet, sure enough, your software that your business needs should be capable of running on tablets as well as desktop as well as laptop. um, all software plus communication systems should be on the cloud. That is a modern firm. Not just the your accounting software should be replaced by core, which is on the cloud, but also your outdated AutoCAD that may be desktop based, get the cloud version of it. Office 365 versus Office 2013 that many of you still have installed on your desktops. Please get rid of it and move to 365 so that it's all on the cloud. And even if your computer, catches fire, you're not worried about losing your critical documents or anything. High level mobile software adoption is a modern firm. By that I mean not just what you just answered. Look, I want to track my time and expenses on my mobile. I want to take a picture of that receipt and it should automatically file it as an expense by me. Um, but I also want to be monitoring my project progress. I also want to be approving my timesheets for my employees, as well as reviewing the invoices that are about to go out before they go out, so that I'm not delaying the cash flow. And of course, I am at a client site and I want to be able to see what the client owes me, and remind the client that they need to pay the bills. Last but not the least is that you make sure in a modern firm that you think through these systems and make sure they are integrated, especially the key elements of your business management should all be integrated. By key elements, I mean that if an employee makes a reimbursable expense on his expense sheet, it should automatically show up in your accounts payable. It should not have to go to somebody else and they have to rekey it in. And a lot is lost in translation. Errors are made, delays are created, and as a business, you in this day and age, you can't really afford to be misinformed or have multiple sources of data which necessarily do not communicate the same message. So in order for you to become a modern firm, we want to make sure that you take these 5 simple steps. Number one, immediately move your email, your documents, your spreadsheets, everything else to Google Docs or Microsoft Office 365 or Apple Cloud. Your choice. If you're a Mac user, consider Apple Cloud. Move your storage, of course, get rid of the file storage server, put it all on Dropbox. Dropbox is $99 a year for a terabyte of data. Um, so everything goes on Dropbox. Even if you have a desktop, make sure that syncs with the Dropbox. The whole point being that your documents are more secure there than they are here. And more importantly, you want access to the document from your home or remote location. Move your time and expense tracking, billing software, project manager, accounting software to cloud. There are great products that are cloud native, but I can tell you in that category, I have not found that many. BQ Core remains the leader in there. By far one of the most advanced tool that is out there. So I encourage you to check it out, but I also encourage you to look at some of the other products that might be there and compare and make your decision based on that. Don't just go with BQ Core just because Shafat's saying it, but do your evaluation and look at the pros and cons, because there are businesses where BQ Core may not be the right fit. Switch to voice over IP based phone systems. Highly encourage that. It's lower bills and of course more reliable, and the audio is amazing because between wipe and wipe you get HD quality digital audio. And embrace mobile and bring your own device um, policy, where you encourage employees to bring their own device but also allow them to use mobile for different things. And BQE core customers tell us that they use their mobile for time and expense tracking even while they are sitting on their desk, because mobile is by far less friction as compared to um, desktop, where you gotta open the browser, log in, and just few extra steps. Mobile, you're logged in already, you're in real fast, and you get to obviously achieve that. So that's my 5 simple steps to modernizing your firm. Next thing I'm going to go through is real quickly is some of my recommendations, or some of the big names, or some of the key ones that you need to consider for your company. And I will try to make this available also as a PDF. um, for your storage. The 4 big providers are Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive. So all of them about the same price. And here's something that I highly encourage all of you to do. Every one of them gives you free storage up to like 10, 15, even 25 gigabytes. So start with that, at least for your personal things, and keep your business or personal critical documents there at least. Number 2, who is the leader in communication with Zoom? And many of you might have heard about it going public recently. Microsoft Teams. We at BQE use Slack and Basecamp. We love it. And trust me, email is the old style of communication. If you get Slack, um, you will fall in love with that product, and you will use less and less email. And more importantly, my inbox had become a big gumball machine where real important emails were getting lost because I was getting so many communication. People were using email as a chat. So that's what Slack replaces, and it's just truly an amazing product. Basecamp, another collaboration product, highly encourage you to consider incorporating. Very, very affordable, all of them, including G Suite. G Suite, by G Suite I mean Google Docs and Google Sheets, that many of you are probably already using. All right. Um, we have one more question on quick poll, and then I'll have a few more recommendations, and that's it. So let's just do the final question now. You saw the product that I showed earlier, how it's all in one place. And this question is related to if you are interested, only if you're interested in learning more about BQE Core. So how would you like to learn more about this software that I showed you today? Is it by signing up for a free trial? Do you want a link for that? Or do you want to schedule a live demo with one of our specialist who can just ask you questions about your specific business, and then show you things on how it might make a difference to you? Last but not the least is you don't want a demo, but let's at least learn share what you have today, talk about does the data move, not move. Most companies, including us, will move your data from your old product to the new product. All right, I need as many of you as possible to participate in it. If you do not want any of the three, of course, please do not vote on it. That's understandable, but it doesn't really hurt to talk to a product specialist. BQE has been in business for 22 years. We respect your privacy. We will never share your information with anyone. All right, with that said, I am going to close this poll in 3, 2, 1. All right. So let me go ahead and move on to the remaining slides here. So we were on the big players and products we recommend. Now, when it comes to business management, BQE Core, of course, is a must-have for every engineering firm. We shine with it. Many of you probably know that I used to run my own engineering firm in California for 8 years before I created BQE software. Newforma, Trello, Asana, these are great products that you should also consider for business management. Now, on the accounting side, I would say that NetSuite is pretty strong, but I don't think it's really geared towards professional services. Deltek, you probably all know, has been around for many, many years. Great company, great product, but they don't have a true cloud native product like Core is. QuickBooks and Sage are awesome products. Again, Sage actually does have a ground up product, and QuickBooks Online is also ground up for cloud native, but really not geared towards professional services. They're really for very small firms, very small businesses. And of course, you don't have like expense sheet in QuickBooks or Sage, so you'll still have to do your expense sheets either in a separate app uh, or an Excel spreadsheet. And they don't even have timesheets that are good enough. Like you can't use timesheets the way you use it in your business in those products. Final next steps for all of you that are attending this webinar, or as recording becomes available if you are listening to it afterwards, take these steps. Prepare a list of software that are not cloud-based. Sit down, allocate 1 hour. Tomorrow is Friday, no better day than Friday to do it. Allocate an hour of your time and sit down with your people, IT person or whoever it is, and prepare a list of software that is not cloud-based, because that I consider as a ticking time bomb that will not only blow up one day, but also hurt your business by losing your data or getting a malware or ransomware. Develop a timeline on replacing on-premise software. And again, feel free to call us. We will give you that free advice, how long it takes typically to move to the cloud and go completely modern using the cloud-based systems, including your phone system and communication and collaboration software. BQE Core should be at the center of your modernization, because your business processes and business systems are the most important element of your business, and you want to start with that, and then you want to move your engineering analysis software or finite element analysis software or 3D modeling software to the cloud. Start with the ones that are easy: your time and expense tracking, your billing, your project management. And the last one, convert your server room into sleeping pods for employees, and trust me, they will all appreciate it, because you really don't want to put that hardware cost. You don't want to be dealing with that security. You don't want to be having to spend so many hours in managing and maintaining those servers. So sleeping pod would be ideal for that. With that, I thank all of you for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I would appreciate if all of you can type in your questions, and I'll be more than glad to answer that. We have about 5 minutes, so I should be able to answer a few questions. And with that, Kari or Beth, can you read me the questions that you have received?
Okay, so everyone, we're going into Q&A right now, and I have your first question for Shafat. This is being asked by Dave. He says, interesting and exciting. I have one question. How would you migrate a firm that is using either a competitive system say, for example, Deltek, or a series of apps. How do you get the historical data into core?
So Dave, thank you for that question. So the chances are, if you're using a product such as Deltek, which we don't necessarily consider as a competition because it's not even a cloud native, but despite that we actually have a lot of people coming from Deltek like products to core, and we have developed very good data conversion tools that allow us to migrate all the data seamlessly into core at a small nominal fee that you pay one time. And one of the things you get to do is you get to see that data instantly in core and trust me, that's the first wow we hear from our customers when their data becomes visible in core and all the KPIs start showing up and they're like, wow, we didn't even know this was happening, or this is great. So yes, please do call us, and our account specialist will be more than glad to walk you through that move to the cloud process.
Okay, and just a follow-up question by Dave as well. He wants to know that there is a method for getting support to migrate over to core. Is it an added service?
Yes, it is an added service for the data migration, and as I said, it's a very nominal fee, one time, and usually takes about 2 weeks to migrate the data, and then another 2 weeks to train your staff and get everything in place. So typical go live date from the data purchase about 4 weeks.
Okay. Dan had a question about security and encryption. I know that a lot of you are curious about the security of cloud services.
So yes, again, as I said, that you definitely want to check on the security of the cloud service providers. BQE has an extremely well secured data center that is backed up every 5 minutes and is real time replicated to another location. And then on top of that, we have independent security agencies audit and test and try to break our security on a annual basis and also on a quarterly basis. Some of the tests are run annually, some of the tests are run on a quarterly. But more importantly, we make sure that we meet the highest standards, and you want to ask that question for every provider. Now there are certain players like BQE and Microsoft, or that for that reason Google and others that for sure will have those. It's really the ones that you haven't heard of much. Those companies is where you need to question.
Monica wanted to know, we're a very small firm, but starting to grow. What are the costs for small companies? Is it relative to size?
That is correct. And Monica, that's a great question. This is one advantage of owning a cloud-based application. So I remember good old days when I used to run my business, the AutoCAD, or Microsoft Office, we would have to pay a price to buy those CDs, and I would usually go to a software store and buy it. And whether or not every employee used it, it was still, to be paid one price, perpetual license price. So in the cloud-based application, you only pay as you use. So for example, in BQE Core, if your employee just needs to track time and expense and PTO, the cost could be as low as $7.95 per month per employee. Now, if there's another employee that needs, full-blown project management, then for that employee and that employee only, you pay $19.95 a month. So, and the flexibility of moving people around. If an employee is taking a vacation, you don't pay for that month. You only sign up for the months that it's needed. Gives you the flexibility of pay as you use, as compared to pay once and then you kind of own it, but you pay so much that you had to take a loan to make that possible.
All right, Shafat, that's it for questions.
Wonderful. So great. I truly appreciate we are right on time. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for your support. If you're a BQE customer, congrats to all of you for helping us, win that Best Workplace Award today. Thank you. Thank you, Kari, and thank you, Beth, for helping me out. And Beth, thank you for hosting this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm going to change the presenter over to myself so I can share my screen now.
Sure.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. That was very interesting and intriguing, Shafat. As we finish up, please download your certificate of completion now from the handouts section. After downloading the certificate, enter your name in it and print and save a copy of the PDF. Note that the certificate will be available only during the remainder of this webcast. If you missed our note at the beginning and you are watching the live webcast with a group on one person's computer, please download the multiple viewer registration form and complete and submit the form to receive credit. We need this information in case you are audited and we are contacted to verify this continuing education activity. Additionally, this webcast has been recorded and will be archived on csengineermag.com/continuing-education. Archive viewers must pass a quiz in order to download a certificate of completion. A PDF will be available with written answers to all of today's questions submitted during today's webcast. Please visit csengineermag.com/continuing-education in 2 to 3 business days to view or download the complete Q&A for this webcast. And again, thank you, Shafat and BQE, and to everyone else who joined us. And this completes and ends today's webcast.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, all of you. Thank you.